Hey everyone, welcome to another Sneaker Talk episode with me. I guess you could kind of say it's a blabbermouth episode because it's not primarily about sneakers. It sort of goes into the realm of streetwear and fashion. But the idea behind today's episode came about when I first saw an article by High Snobiety titled "These People Should Not Replace Virgil Abloh at Louis Vuitton." This of course is following the sudden and tragic passing of Virgil Abloh last November 2021. Some of it I would agree with, some of it I would beg to differ. But at the end of the day, it just made me wonder, who could the torch be passed on to as the next artistic director for Louis Vuitton after Virgil Abloh? So before we get started, please do consider subscribing to the channel. It really does help a lot. A big percentage of you guys aren't subscribed to the channel yet. Hi, how you doing? So if you haven't yet, leave a like on this video. If you like this type of content, that's what the like button is for. And I hope you consider subscribing to the channel. It really does help a lot. Please and thank you. Alright, so I do want to preface this video first and foremost with, please don't take this list seriously at all. I am in no way, shape, or form an expert in fashion or design. I mean, look, I can barely dress myself some days. Just take everything that I talk about today with a grain of salt or just as food for thought. Plain and simple, I just thought it was an interesting topic to talk about. And of course, everything I say today is just my own personal opinion. Also, this list is in no particular order, so just keep that in mind. So the first person on my list, probably the first person that came to a lot of your minds, is Kanye West. I'm sure with his very well-known relationship with Abloh, with both of them interning at Fendi in their early years, and both rising to the top of fashion and music to their own accord. Of course, Kanye making Yeezy Supply and even partnering up with Adidas and Gap, and with Virgil Abloh starting off with Pyrex Vision, then to Off-White, and of course all the way up to his first show with Louis Vuitton, where the iconic clip of Abloh and West hugging and sobbing in each other's arms is such a true-to-life "we made it" moment. Personally, I would love to see a world where Kanye West takes the torch and makes his legacy live on. But the question is, does Mr. West have the same caliber to take on such a legendary brand as Louis Vuitton and make it work? I honestly see it going one of two ways. The first one, Kanye pulls it off. He goes above and beyond expectation. He kills it because Kanye is Kanye. Or it goes the opposite way, where this beautiful, dark, and twisted fantasy, see what I did there, is too wild and too much for Louis Vuitton because Kanye is Kanye.
Am I venturing into the fashion industry? Do you see this cup?
The next person on my list, which is probably the wild card, is Pharrell Williams. My logic is he's worked for both streetwear and luxury design, from a bathing ape founded by Nigo, who just so happens to be the co-founder with Williams of Billionaire Boys Club and Ice Cream, to his works with Adidas and Human Made, and like I mentioned, working with luxury brands such as Chanel, and of course fittingly for this topic, Louis Vuitton, although full disclosure, he was only in the eyewear department. Pharrell for some reason was the first person I thought of when it came to this topic, just because of how timeless, how versatile, how unique his fashion sense is. I personally think his influence as both an artist and as a designer would be a great new spin on LV's lineup. But to be fair, just like Kanye, there is also the possibility of him being too much for the luxury line. Maybe his talents are better suited for streetwear fashion. I mean, really, he's probably not even interested in taking up the torch anyways. But still, I put him on my list just because I thought it would be pretty cool. Next up would be Heron Preston. To me, and I'm sure for a lot of you guys who are familiar with his work, Preston and Abloh are two individuals cut from the same cloth. They're both musically talented as DJs, both well educated in their field. Preston actually even worked with Abloh creatively for the fashion and design blog The Brilliance. Their aesthetics, their ideals, their stylings are so similar that it wouldn't be far-fetched to think that Heron can continue where Virgil left off with Louis Vuitton. Even Virgil himself has vouched for Heron Preston as one of the biggest upcoming artists and designers of our generation. But the question for this one is that idea even possible? I'll give you guys my answers at the end of the video. Now for this next person, full transparency, when I was doing research for this video, because like I mentioned, I know jack about the fashion industry, so I stumbled upon a video by Hypebeast about the most influential designers of the decade, which included almost everyone in this list, aside from Pharrell and Heron, sorry guys, but the top spot actually went to Rei Kawakubo, the brilliant mind behind Comme des Garçons and Dover Street Market. I honestly didn't know anything about her before watching the video, but just looking at her resume, even her work in general, I was like, yeah, duh, of course she'd be perfect for artistic director. I mean, just look how pristine, elegant, sleek, and groundbreaking Comme des Garçons collabs with Nike have been. And this is just for the shoes. It pretty much elevated these typical general release silhouettes into high-class fashion pieces. Imagine what you could do with the world's most valuable luxury brand in leather goods. I mean, personally, I would love to see it. This last entry is probably the least plausible one in a sense, but when you think Louis Vuitton as a luxury brand that's kind of taken taken on streetwear and killed it while still being a top tier fashion brand, it's hard not to include Kim Jones. He's the genius behind the infamous Supreme Louis Vuitton collaboration that are still grail pieces for fashionistas and hypebeasts alike. Of course, it would be a no-brainer for the former artistic director of Louis Vuitton to retake the mantle for a second coming, but unfortunately, with his hand being in so many different hats, not only previously with brands like Hugo Boss, Topman, Umbro to name a few, but even now as current director of both Dior and Fendi, I'm sure there's only so many roles a man can take. Yes, I know he can leave one job for the other, and of course, I'm sure he had good reason to step down as artistic director of Louis Vuitton in the first place, but as a fellow hypebeast myself who would kill for a V2 version of the Louis Vuitton Supreme collaboration, a man can dream, right? And now for my final thoughts, and again, in all honesty, even in my opinion, nothing I've said in this video has any weight whatsoever in the fashion industry because I really have no business talking about it other than the fact that it really is an interesting topic. This will probably also contradict a lot of what I've said about these fine individuals. It's probably even too obvious for me to need to say, but Louis Vuitton should not be looking for the next Virgil Abloh, so to speak. You shouldn't be looking for someone exactly like him to continue his legacy, but instead someone who can transcend it or take it to a whole new level. Kind of like what Virgil did when he was at the reign. Virgil's genius, his vision, his talents, his gifts that he gave to the world, plain and simple, they're irreplaceable. Even just trying to think of how to replace him, what he's done, it's impossible. With all that said, it'll still be interesting to see who Louis Vuitton does choose as their next creative director. We'll just have to wait and see. And that is it for this video, guys. What do you think? Leave a comment down below. I love conversing with you guys there. Follow me on Instagram at @albperalta. I'm a bit more personal there. I post stories almost every day, and I post there when I have a new YouTube video out on my channel. So that's one way to get notified, other than of course subscribing, guys. It really does help a lot. And of course, check out the other videos on my channel. As the banner says, I have anything and everything in between on there. And that is it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys when I see you. Bye, guys. Thank you.